Okay, so now we are going to talk about comparative statics. The idea is the following. We are still going to be optimizing an objective function. So say in here it's going to be maximizing or minimizing f as a function of some x. So notice that the x is underlined, and the underlined x indicates that this is a vector. So in other words, it is x1 all the way to xn, let's say. The objective function is also as a function of the vector x. And on the right-hand side, we have Cj. So Cj represents the set of constraint. And in fact, j can go from from 1 all the way to m. So notice that there's going to be m constraints, and it is reflected from the vector of c's. So the change in c, so what if I change the constraint c by some value? So this change in c can also be decomposed into the change in C1, change in C2, change in Cm. And mathematically, we can represent this change by writing out this expression here. So we can use the linear approximation to approximate the change in the value function if I were to change the constraint. So in other words, if I were to change the vector c, how much would my value function or my objective function change? So recall the linear approximation formula that we talked about a few lectures ago. So this is just the lambda 1 times the change in C1 plus lambda 2 times the change in C2 all the way to lambda m times the change in Cm. So now we have the following problem, and this question is identical to the one that we looked at in the previous question, but the only difference is that now notice that the 30 changed to 31 and the 10 changed to 9. So in other words, the constraint values have changed. Now we want to estimate the corresponding change in the value function using linear approximations. Okay, so we already know what the actual value is when we got the optimal values of 30, when we got the C1 and C2 values being 30 and 10. So C1 is 30 and C2 is 10. How did I get these? Let's have a look at the previous question. So in here, in this question, this 30 would represent C1 and this 10 would represent C2. Now, the change that we observe is the following. So F star C bar, it is still a vector, plus dC bar. So the change in the vector. So this can be rewritten as F star C1 plus the change in C1. And C2 plus the change in C2. So the new values are 31 and 9. So how did 31 change from 30? Well, that's just 30 plus 1. So the 30 is what we got from the previous constraint in the previous question. And the 9 is just 10 minus 1. So the changes that we observe are 1 that corresponds to DC1 and negative 1 that corresponds to dc2. And we also calculated the lambda values. So lambda 1 is 12 and lambda 2 is 4. So these ones we derived from the previous question. Now we are ready to construct the linear approximation formula. Using the linear approximation formula, we can approximate the value function when the constraint is 31 and 9. So it's just the value at the original value plus the changes. So lambda 1 as a function of vector c times the change in c1 all the way to lambda m. So this is just the general form. Applying it into our own question, we would have to deal with only two parts. So this is the change in C1, and this is the change in C2. So closely approximated to F star evaluated at C1 and C2 plus lambda 1, C1, C2, dC1 plus lambda 2, C1, C2, dC2. So we already know what this value is. We know what lambda 1 is, and we know what dC1 is. Similarly, we know what the lambda 2 is, and we know what dC2 is. So we can closely approximate the value that is evaluated when the constraint is 31 and 9. So F star evaluated at 30 and 10. That we can do that from the previous question. So lambda 1 is 12 times dC1 is 1 plus lambda 2 is 4 times dC2, which is negative 1. And this turns out to be 200 plus 12 minus 4. So it is approximately 208.